Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Let us continue with our tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah. Bihawlillahi wa quwwatih, and we are on ayah number 281. قال الله تعالى: وإن كان ذو عسرة فنظرة إلى ميسرة وأن تصدقوا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. We're still on the topic of business. We were speaking about riba, and in this ayah it is speaking about your debtor, meaning the person who owes you money. Remember, you're not allowed to take back more than your capital sum, because if you did so, that would be riba. Here the ayah is saying that if your debtor is dhu usra, meaning owner of usra, which means hardship, meaning he's in straitened circumstances, he does not have the money to pay you, then the ayah says فَنَظِرَةٌ, which means a delay, إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ, up till a time of ease, from yusr meaning ease, so up to a time where he can pay you back. Notice there's no order form given. It is a declarative sentence, and a declarative sentence can carry the meaning of an order, as we have seen many times in the Quran. So he must be given respite up to a time of ease, and this is an obligation on you. But Allah Jalla wa Ala gives us a better option. He says, وَأَن تَصَدَّقُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. But if you were to give charity, meaning if you were to remit the debt entirely, that would be better for you, meaning better for your reward, if you knew. Now, when he says إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, if you knew, this is a new sentence. It is not pertaining to what has preceded, because if this part was pertaining or connected to what has preceded, then the ayah would read that giving the sadaqah is better for us if we knew, which means, taking the converse, if we did not know, then giving the sadaqah is not better for us. Now obviously this is nonsense. Sadaqah is always better for us. So this section, إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, is a new sentence. So the way we would understand this last part would be, if you knew that the reward of remitting the debt entirely, you would surely do it. Okay, let's reflect on this ayah. There are two main lessons in this ayah. Lesson number one, the obligation of giving respite. And it should go without saying really that if you are going to give the respite, you're not allowed to charge any extra, because that would be the exact riba of jahiliyyah. And the second lesson we learn is the recommendation of remitting the debt entirely if you see that this person is in straitened circumstances, because this would then become charity on your part, and this has a greater reward, because lending someone money and giving them charity are similar. With the lending, you take back the money, but with the charity, you do not take back the money. But in both cases, the recipient of your money is benefiting from your money. So they are both a form of charity, except one is stronger than the other, and hence more reward worthy than the other. Now on this matter of remitting the debt entirely, one might make a riddle, and he may say that there is a sunnah which is better than a fard. The fard is to give a delay to the debtor in straitened circumstances, and we have a sunnah which is to remit the debt entirely, which is more reward worthy. So therefore we have a sunnah which is more reward worthy than a fard. And so the riddle here is that normally you would expect a fard to be more reward worthy than a sunnah. Well, this may seem like a riddle, but the riddle actually falls apart, because when you remit the debt entirely, then this is actually giving respite and an increase. So it actually includes the wajib. So in other words, this sunnah of remitting the debt entirely includes the wajib, and it is a little extra on the wajib. It is not just a pure out and out sunnah by itself. No, rather, like we said, it includes the wajib. So we do not have a situation where a pure out and out sunnah is better than a pure out and out fard. Well, at least not in this particular case anyway. It's a bit like saying, in wudu, washing your limbs 3 times it's sunnah, and it's more reward worthy than washing it once. But washing it once is wajib. So the sunnah is more reward worthy than the wajib. So is that the case then, that the sunnah is better than the wajib? The answer is no, because washing it 3 times means that you've washed it once plus 2 more. So it actually includes the wajib. So again, we do not have a case where a pure sunnah is better than a pure wajib in the context of the wudu. Now notice the ayah says, وَأَن تَصَدَّقُوا, to give charity. So remitting the debt is a charity on your debtor. Can we then say that remitting the debt on your debtor who is in straitened circumstances can be as a form of zakah giving? Well, we mentioned this before, a few ayat back, where Allah forbids us from seeking out the khabith from our wealth, giving it in charity. Khabith meaning the unwanted, undesired part of our wealth. So if a debtor of yours is poor and he owes you a debt, you are not allowed to say that I will remit the debt and this will be part of my zakah payment to poor people, because your debtor is a poor person and he is a recipient of the zakah. But you're not allowed to give that as a zakah, meaning the official zakah. Of course you can remit the debt, but it would not be your zakah payment. It would be an extra charity. And perhaps you can appreciate this example by considering the following scenario. Imagine a person says to you that I will give you £10 now, right here in cash, or there's another way you can obtain your £10. You can go to a poor person who is in straitened circumstances. That poor person owes me £10. So instead of my giving you £10, you can go to that poor person and have him give you £10. Only the problem is he does not have the £10 on him because he's in straitened circumstances, but it is a debt upon him. So he will owe you that £10. Which one do you choose? It is obvious. You're going to choose the cash in hand right now. You're not going to go to that poor person who does not even have the £10, but the £10 is still in his liability, because we all understand that it's not the same thing. The £10 cash in hand right now is better than the £10 which is in the liability of a poor person. In fact, we can go a step further. You would rather take the £10 cash in hand now than go to a poor person who owes £20, which is in his liability. We understand the difference between the tayyib and the khabith, or the radi, meaning the lower quality type of wealth that we do not really seek after. And finally, we can take from this ayah the mercy that this sharia enforces on us. A person is in straitened circumstances. Instead of the kafir way, which is to exploit him and impose interest on him, the sharia of Allah Jalla wa Ala gives him mercy. One of 2 options: give him a delay or remit the debt. Both are merciful options. It's just one is more merciful than the other, but it's mercy either way. And you can just contrast that with the kafir way of dealing with money. In fact, we will say this: if you were to study business in the Islamic context, meaning the fiqh of business, the Kitabul Bay', then a sound-minded person doing this would realize that the Sharia intends, through business transactions, mercy and brotherhood, and seeks to avoid any hatred and rancor. So there is no riba, there is no exploitation, there is no cheating, there is no gambling, there is no jeopardy, and no high-level risk which can produce feelings of enmity and feelings that you've been exploited, which leads to feelings of hatred and grudges. When the person of sound mind studies the Islamic principles and rules and regulations of trade and business contracts, then he will have to come to the realization that this is not a man-made system. And if it's not a man-made system, it has to be divinely made, because it's not like you have too many other options. And this is because we know from man that man loves to exploit. He's been exploiting fellow man since the dawn of man. No, but rather the Sharia system of financial transactions, this stands out from all the other systems. It sticks out like a sore thumb, and the sound-minded person would have to come to the conclusion that there is something special about this business system. It is not man-made. It does not have the hallmarks of man. It does not have the footprints of man. You just need to study systematically the fiqh of business transactions, and you will come to this realization if you have an open and fair mind. Ayah number 281. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. There are no particularly new words in this ayah that we have not already come across. But this ayah does not speak directly about money. It gives us a general advice to have taqwa, which is to protect yourself from a day. This day spoken of is Yawm al-Qiyamah, in which you will be turja'una, returned to Allah. So of course it is Yawm al-Qiyamah. ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى, waffa yuwaffi, to give in full. And so this is the passive form of the verb. You will be given in full, meaning kullu nafs, every soul will be paid back in full. Ma kasabat, what it has earned. So whatever you have earned will be given to you in full, whether it be evil for evil or good for good. وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ, and they will not be oppressed. Of course, Yawm al-Qiyamah, as scary and harrowing as it may be, it will definitely not have one thing, and that is oppression. Neither Muslim nor Kafir will be oppressed. And when it says protect yourself from a day, of course we cannot protect ourselves from the day itself, but we can protect ourselves from the punishment of that day, and this is what is intended. It has been narrated from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh that this was the last ayah to be revealed in the Quran, and that the Prophet lived just 21 days after this ayah, and some other numbers are given as well. Actually, on that point there is a difference of opinion even amongst the Sahaba as to what the last ayah was to be revealed. So this is one opinion from Ibn Abbas. There is another opinion as well that the ayah of Kalala in Surah An-Nisa is the last ayah to be revealed. So these are differences even amongst the Sahaba, and Allah Jalla wa Ala knows best the last ayah that was revealed. It is not entirely important nor practical for us to know it. What is important is to act on these ayats that are revealed. Anyhow, let's take some fawaid. We learn the obligation of protecting ourselves from the punishment of that fateful day. Notice the word taqwa is used, and it's used for other than Allah. And this is fine. You can have taqwa of other than Allah, because this taqwa is not about worship. It is simply about being aware and being wary and protecting yourselves from harmful things. That in and of itself is not ibadah. It's just taking your precautions, that's all it is. But the taqwa of Allah Jalla wa Ala is in the context of ibadah. If you see a king cobra in front of you, which is an immensely poisonous snake and can kill you almost instantly, then you're going to have taqwa of that king cobra. That does not mean you're worshipping a king cobra. It simply means you're taking your precautions not to get bitten by the king cobra. And just remember what ibadah is. It is to be lowly and humble in obedience out of love and veneration. And that is solely for Allah. We learn that when we die, it's not just going to be complete oblivion and just darkness and nothingness. Rather, the grave is just a pit stop. We are on our way to meet Allah Jalla wa Ala. That there is an afterlife, and we are returning to our Creator. We also learn that it's not just going to be a meeting with Allah Jalla wa Ala. Rather, we will be taken to account for our actions, and we will be repaid for our actions. Evil for evil, good for good. And from this may sprout forth the famous difference of opinion as to whether somebody can benefit from another person's righteous actions. So for example, if let's say a family member of yours or a friend of yours has died, can you perform righteous actions with the intention that the reward would be for that particular deceased family member or friend? And many scholars say no. Because of ayat like these, you will be repaid for your actions, meaning what you have earned. Kasabat, meaning what you have earned. So they say, but if you perform a righteous action, then the deceased has not earned this righteous action. So how can he be repaid for this particular action which he has not earned? Rather, you have earned it. You're the one who made the effort. It's an interesting difference of opinion. We have spoken about this elsewhere. In any case, this ayah is used for those who say that you are not allowed to send good deeds to other people. It's every man or woman for their own actions. هذا والله أعلم.